Hi, hey, welcome to my video. Today, we're taking a look at the Bowie knife. These had a lot of, I don't know, over the years, I don't really know what the word I'm looking for, but like they were infamous. I mean, Jim Bowie had come up with the design. There was a guy named Black involved who had made this, and if you look over here, this is probably what one really looked like. And you can take a look at this quick picture of a TV show since I went way back in the 50s.
Jim Bowie, he was a bold adventuring man.
Where they had a show, about Jim Bowie. And this was more or less the kind of a knife that he used. The definition of a Bowie knife would be a large knife. And as you can see, this is a very large knife. This measures about 17 inches long. And it does have the big swoop, and it cuts off at this end. And the knife is fairly sharp. It does have these brass hand guards. And if you turn it upside, you will see it's the American Eagle head. And this is made and tempered by me in 11th grade at school. It was a project that I had to do to pass my semester. This was a 6-week project, and we ordered the steel, and I guess this video is a little bit about the Bowie knife and the one that I made for myself. You can see it weighs about 3.5 pounds, so I mean, what didn't cut you would just club you pretty good. And I've had this for, 46 years, coming up on a half a century. And there's a lot of things that have changed in the world since I had made this in high school. Of course, we had metal shop back then, and we used lathes, and we used milling machines and files, and we did a lot of those things. And of course, today, if you get caught with a pen knife like this, you get thrown right out of school. And when I went to school, this was just normal, bringing this back to and from school, and nobody really paid much attention to it whatsoever. So the culture has changed quite a bit now. That's not a reflection on the children today and all of the precautions in the name of safety that has been taken. You don't want to really, you don't want to start throwing accusations out there, but I think a lot of this happened with our generation. We created this. The systems that we have today were pretty much created by us and our natural fear, and not just us alone, but the media and the fears of all kinds of things that had happened over the years, where the whole 1.5 million children missing. There was a lot of ways to look at that. That really wasn't an honest portrayal of what was going on in the nation in the 80s and the 90s. I think it had started, way back with, there was a TV show about it. And I'm not going to mention any names, but those things happened, but they didn't happen anymore in the 80s and the 90s than they did in the 60s and the 70s. The facts are that the honest to goodness missing children, that wasn't due to runaways, it wasn't due to custody things, or kids that just were late getting home, or were just being kids. Especially the true kidnapping, it just never really, it wasn't as much as the media had portrayed it out to be. Which brings me to the point I'm talking about. There is certain dangers involved in making a knife in a shop class. They're sharp. You're dealing with tools that, we're shown how to use them, and the adults trusted us to use them the right way. And now that trust has been litigated, and the lawyers have taken over, and human resources, and can't let kids do that. I mean, I remember, just a quick story. I remember grinding on this knife, and you're supposed to wear gloves, a pair like it's not asbestos gloves, but something similar when you're grinding on the disc grinder. And my finger slipped, and I didn't have the glove on, and I ground part of this finger off. And of course, the shop teacher was just, you know, he was upset with me because I wasn't wearing the gloves. Went to the nurse. She looked at it, put some iodine on it, bandaged it up, sent me back to class. And when I got home, my dad asked me what the deal was, and I told him. He says, "Well, next time wear the gloves, right?" And that's the end of it. Nowadays, it's my lawyer will call your lawyer, and that's what ended the whole thing in high school. I think it's kind of a shame that the kids just didn't get a chance to experience the things that I did growing up, and the tools and all of the things that kind of help you mechanically through life. And you kind of learned that at school because it was necessary. And there was all kind of applications for mechanical drawings, or just being able to fix things yourself, and and be able to do household chores, or not have to farm things out. And that's just one of those things. So the story that I really wanted to tell you was, every year or every 2 years, me and my wife like to go down to Gettysburg, and we like to tour the battlefields, and a lot of history down there. There was a lot of men killed in that battlefield, and if you've never been, you should go. There's the graves, so many graves of just young 14, 15-year-old boys that had fought in these battles. And this isn't a pick a side thing. This is a reality of war. And they trusted these young boys with guns and muskets and everything else that in those days. And now today, when I went to the visitor center, I was asked if I had any knives, and I did have a knife. I always carry this little Swiss blade knife. It has a little pair of scissors with it, and a nail file, and a tiny little pee-wee little knife thing here. I had to surrender that to be able to go into the visitor center. And I often wonder what the people would have thought that had died in those battles. I'm not making any claims, but my surname is in a lot of graves, and my family is from that area in Lower New York and Upper Pennsylvania, where my surname, a lot of cousins and uncles and aunts, and I've got photographs of my great-great-great-grandfather way back in the 1880s, and the grizzled beard and the whole 9 yards. I'm sure that I have kin that had fought in these battles. And I often have to ask myself, I wonder what they would think if, knowing what they sacrificed, that their great-great-great nephew or great-great-great grandson wasn't even able to carry a penknife and to pay the respects at a national museum like that. And I think I think we've gone so far the other way in our country that we've not given any trust to our young kids. These things are dangerous. You can get hurt by them, but the only way you're going to know how you can get hurt is if you get hurt by one. If you cut yourself. I mean, I was a butcher, a journeyman meat cutter, but an actual butcher, swinging beef, that kind of a guy. So, I knew there were certain ways to handle a knife that would save your knuckles and save your fingers from getting cut, and I knew there was ways that you would take that risk and then you would cut yourself. My hands are just full of stitches over the years from using that kind of knives and those kind of things. And this is just unavoidable. And you got to ask yourself, in the name of safety and in the name of sensationalism and the 24-hour news cycle that just it's a never-ending dreary doldrum of discontent and hate. And anyway, this is my Bowie knife. This is a knife that you can't even go into a national park with. I made this in high school, and this is where we're at now. Let me know in the comments what you think, where we're going, what happened, what's going on, and I appreciate to hear from you. And that's my video this week, and I appreciate you joining me, and I'll see you again next week.